Here's a different story. When I was about Nan's age, about 3 or 4, old Nan 3, isn't she?
Yeah, and Eppie is
5. Yeah. So when I was about 3, I was walking.
1, 2, 4, 5.
Yeah. And we were we're outside playing in the yard, and even as little as I saw myself go off playing by myself. And we used to have a gap in the ditch in Mogue's ditch that there was a kind of an old tied up gate on it, and old bits of skocks and stuff that Granny and Mammy used to go through. But I noticed one day, and I said, right, I was going to go to that field, so I climbed in through behind the back of it and went through the gap, and I went to Mogue's field. Now I was delighted because Mogue's field was a big field, and there was a kind of a slope on it, and the grass was really long. So I said, this is brilliant. So I snuck off into playing that, and I went into the first field, and then there was another gap down the very bottom part of it. There was some white horn, and then I went through that then, and I was out to the second field. Now, in the meantime, Nanny, poor Mammy, I think she was hanging out the clothes, and she looks and she goes, Mick, where are you, Mick? There was no sign of me. I was gone, you see. And she goes, oh, jeez, Mick, where are you gone? Mick. And for a minute or so, she was calm. But then after about the third minute, she completely lost it. She said, where are you gone? Mick, where are you gone? So she started looking around, and she looked everywhere inside. And she never thought I would have went out to the gap in the ditch, because it was well blocked off. And she got Granny, and she had Jenny and Anne with her as well. Ellen wasn't born, and Daddy was off working, and we all went out, and she was looking, Mick, calling, and I think Granny went up on the bike to where Daddy was working in Donaghue's, and T came down with Tom Donaghue, and they all went looking, Mick, and there was Joyce, and a pile of people all came down, and this was around 4 or 5 in the evening. Then someone, I think, went to the guards in Courtown or Gorey, and there was a guard came out to them about an hour later. So they searched high and low, and poor Nanny was in bits crying her eyes up, and they searched, and night time came, and they said, listen, we'll go out in the morning. And Nanny said, no, keep searching now. So they searched late, but they could not find me. And next morning came, and Nanny said, oh God, where is he? And Nanny stood out, she was hanging the washing line, the closing line, and she just stood there, and she started to feel the time when she was back with me there. And she goes, he went through the gap. And they said, how do you know? I said, I know he went through that gap. So I went out through the gap. I went out to the gap, then they could follow my little footprints through the long grass, right? And I went over into the second field. And Nanny then was worried then, because there's a river down below in the second field, right? A big old gripe. And it's deep. And they all went over, Mick they couldn't. But when they went over, do you know what happened? When I was walking across, there was the river, and I was ready to go into it, and there was a hare out in the field, a wild hare, and the wild hare, she went, I must have been chasing after her, I think. That's what was happening, to play with her. But when I got close to the river, she stopped me, and I was wanting to walk into the river, and she just held me down, and she sat on me, and I tried to get up, and then she started to cuddle me, and then it turned late, dark at night, and she cuddled up, and she kept me warm all night long. And she had, I think, blackberries and bits of some other berries that she gave me, and I ate them, and I cuddled in beside her. And when Nellie then walked over to the river, they said, oh no, where is Mick? And next minute, before Nanny's called, the next minute the hare stood up, and Nanny saw the hare standing beside me, and she says, oh, Mick, turn over to me, and the hare stood back, and Nanny goes, oh, Mick, you're okay? And I said, I was a little baby like Nana goes, yeah, my friend here, the hare, she give me food. And Nanny looked at the hare, and the hare looked at Nanny, and Nanny said, she reached over and she gave the hare a hug, and she goes, thanks you for saving my son. And the hare just kind of looked her in the eyes and kind of smiled his hair smile, and Nanny picked me up and said, "Thanks, I'll never forgive you. I'll never forget you," she says, "for doing that. Yeah, you're good." And she ran back to the house, and all the people met her with me in their arms. And she goes, "Where was he?" And she goes, "He was over there with the Hare." And people always said afterwards that I was saved by the Hare, and I'd spent time with the Hare. And later on, when I got older, I used to always go back into that field, and I'd always see the Hare. Now, she wouldn't come close to me as much as she used to that night, but she was always there to keep an eye on me. That's a true story now.
But Daddy, if he called her, would she go over?
Yeah, she would. She would come over with her there. I used to bring her out bits and pieces, like bits of bread and stuff. And but she was lovely. She was really.
You should bring her home and take care of her. Yeah.
She had baby hares, so she had little sons and daughters, and they were out in the field still. You still see them. They were lovely. All her family are still there.
Daddy, but did you bring carrots or something?
Yeah, carrots, vegetables, and some bread, light bread, because I don't normally get bread out in the wild. So they like that. And now and again you bring some chocolate. Hares like chocolate, you know that? Is that the Hare coughing?
Nan the Hare.
That's Nan the Hare, she's coughing, is she?
Nan the Hare. It's a baby Hare.
It's a baby Hare.